Suffolk's High Sheriff, Jamie Lowther-Pinkerton.
Thank you very much indeed, Tim. And Shay, thank you so much for that amazing, it just took me back across the years actually listening to you talk. And you're the most modest man I think I've ever met. And so I'm going to say it, that was the genius of Shay Barkin and the way he's inspired so many people over so many years, not least Prince William to do what he's doing now, and still the president of Quite Right Too, of Centrepoint all these years later. And I can remember sort of 15 years ago, the sort of inspiration that he and I both took from you and others and your colleagues. And oddly enough, my year as High Sheriff has reignited that feeling. And I've got it all from all of you. I mean, it's been one of those occasions where for a year I felt like the interloper and just sort of dipping my toe, if you like, into all sorts of nooks and crannies around Suffolk, which I was very privileged to be able to do. But actually, it was like opening a wellspring and getting that same feeling that I had listening to Shay all those years ago, listening to all of you. And I think you're quite remarkable people. I mean, I really, really mean that. And it's not just the people in this room. It's the thousands of people who get up in the morning across Suffolk and they spend the greater part of their waking hours helping other people. Now that's in the charitable sector, it's volunteers, but it's also those who wouldn't really cross the radar. It's people who, the 75,000 carers in this county who look after other people in that sort of selfless way. And it's been a humbling experience for me. It really has. And I thank you all hugely on behalf of Suffolk, but also personally for the example you set. The other thing it's done, it's been sobering and really, if I can put it, really quite sort of gritty to hear what is going on out there. Now, I'm not going to repeat what Shay far more eloquently than me described, but the only thing I would say is that it has turned my perceptions, which is probably a useful thing to have happened, 180 degrees over in the sense of what makes society work. Now, the impression that I and lots of other people had, it's a sort of mixture of things and it sort of percolates down from politicians and others up at the top. I couldn't have got it more wrong. And actually going around Suffolk this year, the glue of society is actually people like you and the thousands of others across Suffolk who have this sort of selfless approach to life. Now, they're looking after people who are in dire need, and there are terrible challenges out there. But actually, I've emerged from this year with a huge sense of optimism because of that glue which comes from all of you and the people you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it actually percolates upwards. So I can now turn on Radio 4 in the morning and not want to throw myself off Beachy Head at listening to the news. Because actually I know that down there's positivity flooding upwards, regardless of the circumstances. The point about volunteering is obviously getting to a critical point. But what I would say, and you all know this, but again, it's something which I saw with sort of fresh eyes going around Suffolk, is how much good volunteering does for the volunteers. And actually, it is a great selling point for volunteering. And it's not some sort of smug, haven't I done well, that sort of feeling. It couldn't be further from that. It's something I can't define, but it's just the total satisfaction people get in helping other people. And I've seen it in tidal waves coming towards me over the last year. The other issue, which I think has been touched on as well, particularly by Shay, is this idea of isolation. Now, in the wake of the pandemic and with the cost of living crisis that we're facing at the moment, that to me is one of the base roots of the issues we face. The volunteering itself and what you do, I think, can break down that isolation. Once isolation is broken down, this is just my personal view is that hope can then be expected to sort of kindle, if you like, and you'll get hope bubbling up if you can break the isolation down. Hope being generated actually produces community cohesion. Community cohesion then actually feeds into society, and we can start moving in the sorts of direction that Shay was describing. The other completely inspirational, thanks to Suffolk Refugee Support, thing that I've seen this year is the people of Suffolk's reception of the refugees of war that we've seen flooding in from Ukraine, but not forgetting the Syrians, the Iraqis, the Afghans who have come before them. Now, actually, there's been a wonderful reception across Suffolk, but one of the things which I think is most remarkable is how those refugees themselves have behaved and how they have, if you like, thrown off so much as you possibly can their dire plight. And actually, so many of them are working either to help their countrymen who are still in dire straits, countrymen and women who are still in dire straits, but also each other, and feeding back into the community in Suffolk. And I've been sort of connected through Rebecca and others at Suffolk Refugee Support, particularly with that as a theme line this year. And I have to say, the other thing it does, it puts things in perspective. If you have left your loved ones in the front line in Ukraine, in bombed out cities across what is Europe, and you come here, and I bump into somebody who is actually manning the counter in one of the food distribution points around Suffolk, you're going, hang on a minute, you've just come from Ukraine, and you're now helping other people, helping people in Suffolk, helping your countrymen. Just unbelievably uplifting, and it puts it into perspective for me, which is easy for me to say, I know, but it really does. So, our prize winners really have left me, and all of you have left me with a sense of optimism. I know that is not something which one should sort of take lightly, but I do feel optimistic because I think the glue of society is still as strong as it has ever been. That's my experience of it, and I take that away, and that's my sort of my feel after my snapshot of a year out there. But thank you very, very much, and let's get on with the prizes, however that happens.
Jamie, I think I would say as well that that's where the foundation goes when we're feeling down and when we need a bit of uplift, is out into the voluntary sector to see the amazing people on the ground doing just incredible work. And now, just before this year's High Sheriff Award winners are announced, we thought you'd also like to know which organisations have been successful in receiving a grant from the High Sheriff's Fund this year. This grants programme is designed to encourage good citizenship, promoting community safety and preventing crime to make Suffolk a safer place for people to live.
We are so grateful to the High Sheriff and his grants panel for all of their hard work in making this happen, with 9 grants being awarded this year from the High Sheriff's Fund, totalling over £19,000. Projects have been funded right across Suffolk, including holiday activities for teenagers, winter drop-in sessions, a football project designed to combat crime, and communal meals for homeless people on the Springboard to Employment project. The list goes on. Please give all of these wonderful projects a round of applause.